We are back for another deep dive, this time into Sunday's NCAA Tournament action for March 23rd, 2025.
That's right, folks. Rob Dor here from the Hashmark Sports Show.
We're going to break down all the games, give you our picks, and see if we can't keep this hot streak going.
Yeah.
You know, yesterday I went 5-3.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all. And Dor, you went...
I went 4-3, a respectable Sunday.
That is a respectable Sunday. We'll take it.
Absolutely. And we're only looking at NCAA Tournament games today. No NIT, no CBI, just the big dance.
Just the big boys. And we've got some intriguing matchups, some big spreads and totals to dissect here. So let's just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
All right, first game up, we're heading down to Raleigh, North Carolina, Lenovo Center, UConn, and Florida, tipping off at 12:10 p.m. Eastern time on CBS.
Early tip-off.
Early tip-off. Got to get those bets in early, right? And the line, Florida, is favored by 9.5 points total, sitting at 150.5.
Yeah, that's a pretty big spread for a tournament game.
It is, you know, UConn, they've been kind of up and down this season, but when their guards are hitting shots, they can hang with anybody. That's the thing about UConn, right? They've got that championship pedigree. You know, even if this particular team hasn't always shown it, they've got guys that have been there before. Yeah.
And, you know, Florida's been playing well down the stretch, but, you know, giving that many points in a tournament game against a team like UConn, I don't know. My gut's telling me UConn plus the 9.5.
I can see that. But I'm actually looking at the total here. I think both teams are capable offensively, but tournament games, you know, the intensity ramps up. The defense gets a little bit tighter. I think we could see some missed shots.
Yeah.
I'm going under 150.5.
All right, under 150.5.
I like it. All right, moving on to our next game. We're staying in Raleigh, same arena. Lenovo Center, Baylor taking on Duke.
Big one.
Huge matchup. 2:40 p.m. Eastern time on CBS. And the line, Duke is a big favorite here. Laying 11.5 points total is at 144.5.
That's a tough one. You know, Baylor's always well coached. They're tough. They've played a lot of close games this year.
They have, and you know, Duke, when they're healthy, when they're clicking, they're one of the most talented teams in the country.
Absolutely, they've got NBA talent all over the court. But I'm a little hesitant with that 11.5. You know, Baylor's physicality, their rebounding, it could present some problems for Duke.
Yeah, I hear you. But I think Duke, they're going to want to make a statement here. I think they come out there firing on all cylinders and they cover that 11.5.
I'm gonna look at the over in this one. I think both teams can put the ball in the basket, and we've seen some high-scoring games in this tournament already. I think this one could be another one.
All right, over 144.5. I like it. All right, moving on to our next game. We're heading up to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Feaser Forum, Illinois and Kentucky.
Now, this is a good one.
This is a close one. Tip-off is 5:15 p.m. Eastern time on CBS. And the line, Illinois, favored by just 1.5 totals way up there to 169.5.
That's a lot of points.
That is a lot of points.
Yeah.
You know, this feels like a game that could go down to the wire.
It does. Illinois has been playing with a lot of confidence lately. Their guard play has been phenomenal.
Yeah, I think they're playing with a swagger right now, and I think they pull out a close one. I'm taking Illinois minus 1.5.
You know, I think Illinois wins the game, but I'm a little concerned about that total. 169.5 is just so high, and I think as the game gets down to the wire, the tournament pressure kicks in, the defenses tighten up. I'm going to take the under in this one.
Under 169.5. I like it. All right, next game we're going over to TNT, 6:09 p.m. Eastern time, Rocket Arena in Cleveland, St. Mary's in Alabama.
Now, this is an interesting matchup. Styles clash.
Styles clash, for sure. St. Mary's loves to slow it down, control the tempo. Alabama wants to run and gun.
Alabama wants to get up and down the court, score, and transition.
Yeah, and, you know, Alabama's favored by 5.5 points here. Totals at 149.5. But I think St. Mary's, that style of play can be really frustrating for teams like Alabama.
Yeah.
I think they keep it close. I'm taking St. Mary's plus the 5.5.
I tend to agree with you. St. Mary's, they're so disciplined, they don't beat themselves, and 5.5 points against a team like that in the tournament, I think that's a little too much. I'm also going St. Mary's plus the 5.5.
All right, let's head out west now. 7:01 p.m. Eastern time, TBS Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle, Colorado State, and Maryland.
Another intriguing matchup.
It is Maryland's laying 7.5 points. Totals at 143.5. Colorado State coming off a big upset in the first round. They're not afraid of anybody.
They're not, and you know, Maryland, they're essentially playing at home here.
Yeah, that's a big advantage for them.
Huge advantage, but I'm a little hesitant about that total. 143.5, it feels a little low, especially with how well Colorado State's been playing.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Maryland here. I think they're the better team. I think they take care of business at home. I'm taking Maryland minus the 7.5.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to take the over. I think Colorado State, they're playing with house money at this point. I think they come out loose. They hit some shots. I think this one goes over 143.5.
All right, over 143.5. Let's see it. All right, next game up. Back to the Pfizer Forum in Milwaukee. 7:45 p.m. Eastern Time on True TV, Ole Miss and Iowa State.
Iowa State's a tough team to play.
They are tough-nosed defense.
Their defense is suffocating.
Suffocating, and they're favored by 5.5 points here, totaled at 145.5. I think Iowa State, their defense travels. They're going to make it very difficult for Ole Miss to score. I'm taking Iowa State minus the 5.5.
I agree with you on that one. Iowa State, their defense is their identity. They control the paint. They force turnovers. I think they'll be too much for Ole Miss. I'm also taking Iowa State minus the 5.5.
All right. Next up, Rocket Arena in Cleveland. Again, 8:40 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT, New Mexico, taking on Michigan State.
Tom Izzo in March. Never a good bet against him.
Never bet against Tom Izzo in March. He always has his teams ready. They always seem to find a way.
They always seem to peak at the right time.
That's right. And Michigan State's favored by 7.5 points, totals at 148.5. I'm rolling with Izzo here. I'm taking Michigan State minus the 7.5.
I think that's the right side, too. Michigan State, they've got the experience, they've got the coaching. I think they win this one comfortably. I'm also taking Michigan State minus the 7.5.
All right. And for our final game of the night, we're heading back to Seattle, Climate Pledge Arena, 9:04 p.m. Eastern Time on TBS, Oregon and Arizona.
This should be a fun one.
High-scoring affair, potentially.
Both teams can really fill it up.
Yeah, Arizona's favored by 3.5 points, totals at 152.5. What are you thinking?
I'm leaning towards Arizona here. I think they're the slightly better team, and with that small spread, I think they cover it. I think this will be a close game, but I think Arizona pulls it out.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you talk about these close games in the tournament. It reminds me of, our buddy Dave.
Oh, no.
One year, it didn't even matter who Tennessee was playing.
Yeah.
He was just an absolute wreck. Every possession was like the end of the world. He was screaming at the TV, pacing around, spilling his snacks. The veins in his neck were bulging out.
I've seen it.
It was something else. It's just that March Madness intensity,
It gets to you.
For this game, I'm going with my gut. I think Oregon keeps it close. I'm taking Oregon plus the 3.5.
I like it.
All right, so there you have it, folks. Our complete breakdown of Sunday's NCAA Tournament slate, brought to you by Rob Dor from the Hashmark Sports Show.
That's right.
We gave you all our picks yesterday. I went 5-3. Dor went 4-3.
Let's keep it rolling.
Let's keep it rolling. And with so many tight spreads and the madness of March, anything can happen.
Absolutely.
What do you think is the one result today that's going to have everyone talking tomorrow?
Oh, man, that's a tough one. There are so many possibilities, but I think if St. Mary's pulls off the upset against Alabama, that's going to be a big story.
Yeah, I could see that. All right, folks, enjoy the games. Good luck with your bets. And we'll be back tomorrow with more deep dives into the world of sports.
We'll see you then.
See ya.